Hello, welcome to When the Smoke Clears. I am the Recovery Plug. What's happening, everybody? Alrighty, well, let's get this started. I like to get things started always with a moment of silence, followed by the serenity prayer for the addict who still suffers. If you would, a moment of silence, please. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Alrighty, well, let's just get into it then. How's it going, everybody? Well, my day's going okay, I guess. I've, here, doing this video, I don't really have a set topic or anything like that for today. I just wanted to I guess, just talk a little bit about this book that I'm reading, and it's called The Myth of Normal by Dr. Gabor Mate, and this book. This particular guy, Gabor Mate, he's a pretty intellectual dude, and he's got a lot of insight, and you know he's got a bunch of insight on how the mind works and how the brain works, and how it works in people who have a problem with addiction, and this is different things that come with addiction, like depression and anxiety, and those types of things, and anger, just all those mixed emotional neurological things that people have when they're addicted to, no matter what type of addiction it is. It For me personally, it's drug addiction, and you know reading the intellectual side of somebody who has the intellectual background, and also who is an addict himself, is why I like listening to this man's podcast and this guy's books. This is why I like reading them, because I think the guy gets a lot of insight on how to help somebody who is in addiction, and who is trying to get out of that realm of darkness, and of negativity, and those types of things. And so for me personally, it's helped me along the way to understand and realize, because I've got a long history of drug addiction. My history of addiction starts from, early age as a kid, up till now, when I'm, to my age now, and it's a long road of ups and downs, and how many times have I wished that I could stop the roller coaster ride and just get off finally, and just be like, God dang, I finally, after now, okay, this is where I want to be. And I find myself now here today, as I'm doing this particular video. I find myself in that sense where I'm not totally there yet, but I can feel it, that it's in the grasp. I could sense it, that I'm going in the right direction, to that, to the happy place, in a sense. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, finally, I'm starting to get it there. You know what I mean? And I am. By no means has it been easy, because it's also a roller coaster ride, but um, the end of each ride is getting better and better. The results of me, whenever I'm getting off that particular ride, is starting to be better for me. So, and I know that if it's that way for me, it could be that way for a whole lot more people. And I am incorporating new things into my life of recovery now than I did before, and a few other times that I had tried to find recovery and sobriety, and I didn't have this big arsenal of things that I use to stay there. And but one of the things that I'm doing this time around is I'm reading a whole lot more. Oh, excuse me. I'm reading a whole lot more, and I am doing things that the intellectual side of addiction is allowing me to do. And so I'm broadening my mindset in a sense, my intellect in a sense, and not just staying in a secluded box of negativity thinking. And so my blinders are off, if you will, now, and I'm taking in the whole spectrum of recovery and sobriety, and seeing what it has to offer, and taking the risk, and taking those risks of but they're healthy risks. You know what I mean? That's the key here, is that I'm taking new risk and setting new boundaries, but they're all healthy boundaries. They're all healthy risks. I'm not setting myself up for failure. I'm not putting myself in those bad situations and stuff. And that's the key of this time around for me personally. I'm able to engage in knowing the red flags of relapse, and knowing the red flags of getting irritable, and knowing the red flags of getting pissed off, and finding that excuse to go back and to use, because it's not an easy thing to do, but it's getting easier, because there's been many times that I've felt that, hey, you know what, I'm pissed today, or something irritated me, or something just didn't go the way I wanted it to go, and or I ran into somebody who I used to use with, and now my mind's freaking going wild, and thinking that, okay, maybe you could just do it one more time, or maybe you can go back and do this, maybe you can go back and do that. And I know my mind is clear now. My mind is in that state of clarity that I can understand and talk myself out of it. And by no means am I able to do this alone, that's for sure, because I still, my week is full of, taking, going and seeing therapists, going and seeing the psychiatrist, going and attending my peer support groups, and also on top of that, reading and going to different AA and NA meetings, and those are voluntarily all, you know what I mean, and those are things that I keep doing, and I call it just loading up my sobriety and recovery arsenal, because without any of those things, and any of the interaction with those folks in all of those places, if I don't have that, then I know exactly where I'm going back, and I know exactly what I'm going to do, because I go back to what's comfortable for me, and that's going back and using, because not only am I an addict, but I enjoy getting high. That's the key. The thing is that I like to do it. You know what I mean? And that right there is one of the hardest things to do, is to stop doing something that you enjoy doing, and because you know that it's not good for you, it's not healthy for you. It always brings you negative things, negative people, negative vibes. They have the whole nine. And the hard part is being able to kick a habit that you really, really freaking love. I enjoyed. That's one thing that I enjoyed doing what I did. You know what I mean? Whether it was selling, drugs, or doing the drugs, I enjoyed it. And people would always ask me, why do you, why are you an addict, or why do you get high, or whatever the fact is. And my first answer is, I do it because I like it. But reading a book like this book that Dr. Gabor Mate has out, and it's his new book, and it's called The Myth of Normal, And when I engage in reading something like that, I understand why it is that I'm an addict. It's not because I'm an addict because I enjoy freaking doing drugs. No, I'm an addict because of things that I have been through, and the things that I lacked emotionally and perhaps physically and that sort of thing. But it all derives from when I was a kid. You know what I mean? And you know, I went through a bunch of childhood traumatic experiences in the form of you know, abuse and the form of you know, just not feeling uh, the love that you wanted, I guess, and then also being fearful of anything that you do in a place that is supposed to be your comfort place in your home. And when you're walking on eggshells in your own home, you're suppressing all those feelings of that you can't be yourself. And you know, doing that as a young kid is why I wound up using marijuana and drinking alcohol when I was in the first grade. And it was an out for me. It was a way for me to not, you know, deal with the feelings that I had when I was at home. So any chance that I got as a kid, you know, once I got a little bit older, I mean, I joined sports for that reason. I wanted to play sports because if I played sports, I would stay after school, and it would keep me at school longer so I wouldn't have to go home and deal with the bullshit. And so my motivation for you know, the sports was just that, is that okay, at least I don't have to go. At least here I feel the love of my, you know, teammates. I feel the love of my coach, you know, and especially in high school. When I got into high school, it was you know, to me, I loved it. You know, I was a pole vaulter in high school, and man, that was, you know, I had a relationship with the guy, with my coach, in the sense that I could feel the reciprocity uh, of of the that, hey, I like my coach and he likes me. You know, I care for my coach and he cares for me, and you know, he cares what's happening to me, and you know, when a coach pays attention to you, and you know, he's helping you attain something, you feel that bond. You know what I mean? And I didn't have that when I was at home, because anytime I was going to feel a bond with my old man, you know, it was either him being drunk or him being pissed off or him hitting my mom, and I could never get that, because you know, that to show any type of affection was to be weak, and you know, to be a, you know, you can't be like that around that dude, and you know, for him it was always about being tough and that sort of thing, and you know, seeing him drinking all the time, and no matter what part of the day it was, he always had a beer in his hand, I remember, for everything. Even when he woke up, he popped it open. When he went to work, he drank at work. After work, he drank after work. You know, before going to bed, he's drinking. So, you know, to me, that was normal. And so that being normal, and everything else that came with it, as far as not being able to, you know, express your feelings or anything like that, that became normal, you know, and your brain's programmed that way, you know, until you get it changed. And as an adult now, I understand all of those types of things by listening to Mr. Gavomate's podcasts, and reading his books and his literature, stuff like that. And not only his, but other folks but he's my favorite one. That's why I like, you know, I bring his name up in his book, because he's my favorite one, because I really, when he speaks and interprets things in his way. To me, that's like he's interpreting it in layman's terms where I can understand that, because I'm not a medical dude, you know what I mean? I'm not a doctor or anything like that, but the way he explains it, I can relate and I can understand, and because he's explaining it in in an addict's point of view, because he's an addict himself. He's not a drug addict, but he's addicted to other things, and his addiction acts the same as someone who is addicted to drugs, because an addict is an addict, and the brain chemistry in an addict works all the same way. Your brain transmitters, in a sense, the things that light up in your brain when you're wanting that drug, is the same sensors and things that light up when you want that video game. If you're addicted to video games, if you're addicted to sex, whatever it is that you're addicted to, all of those things wiring, and they light up the same way. And it's understandable. I can understand it the way he explains it like that. And so yeah, so I am just today I just didn't know what I was going to talk about, and or what kind of message I wanted to relay to you guys, to the person suffering, or to the person who's trying to stay recovered and that sort of thing. And I guess the main part that I try to that I'm trying to, I guess, focus on is the fact that I'm a drug addict, and what I'm doing is working for me as someone who likes to do drugs. You know what I mean? I wasn't doing drugs because, I was fiending for it or anything like that. I don't know if that makes sense, but I was doing it because I liked it. That's why I did it. I enjoyed the feeling, and then, as the years progressed, then I got to a point where I found myself, I could remember, myself being like, or man, I need that. I need it now. And because when I started, my last relapse was a 5-year relapse, and when I relapsed and got into and I got back into the addictive mode, I enjoyed it. You know what I mean? And I enjoyed it for years. But because I did the drugs, I would go to work, and I was living my life. And when I lost everything and wound up homeless and still doing the drugs, then I found myself, I could remember vividly being at a motel, selling drugs out of the motel, and thinking, man, I need to go get some more shit because I need it. I can't function if I don't have it. And I would find myself, I could literally see myself like getting pissed off, irritable if I didn't have my shit. You know what I mean? I couldn't function, or I didn't want to function until I had it. If once I had my freaking bolo in my bag, and then I could engage in the day. But I wasn't going to engage on shit, and I wasn't going to sell nobody shit until I did my shit first. You know what I mean? And then I knew. I was like, okay, dude, you're unhappy. You're because the whole time I'm there, I'm just not happy. I know my life is shit, and now I'm pissed off because I can't enjoy the drugs now, and I'm putting myself in these messed up things. You know what I mean? I'm setting these unhealthy boundaries, and involving myself, having relationships with people that are in the same boat, and I know that is leading me nowhere. And so it's basically like I'm on a boat and I'm paddling up the river, but I'm going against the current. And the more I do it, the tired I'm getting, And I finally get so exhausted that I'm just like, fuck, I can't do it no more. I'm tired of living this way. And luckily for me, I was able to get out of that realm through being incarcerated. And I didn't fall to the addiction and to the drugs like a lot of people that I know before, that had fallen, to the drug in the sense of overdose and they died, or just, getting sent to jail for many, many years, or just, different things like that, or just did the wrong drug and wound up mentally not coming back. I know a lot of people that has happened to, and they're roaming the streets today just lost, and their mind is not there anymore. They're not the same person. And, I feel for all these people because, I met a lot of people when I was in that world, but I met a lot of people that I cared for. I had these bonds and these relationships with people that, because they're not bad people. They're people just like you and I, and in the normal quote unquote world, they just happened to something in their life was so traumatic that they landed there, and that's where they're at now. And just like myself, I mean, I was a normal dude. I had a business, a thriving business, and I had a home. I had freaking cars. I had, money in the bank. I, was part of a church community. I mean, it was just living the, quote unquote American dream life. You know what I mean? And, the family with the white picket fence type shit. And then I found myself there in that dark world. And so all these people who are there, then you see them out in the streets. You see them, out in the street halfway dirty with backpacks on, and going in and out of under the bridges or in the tent communities, or now they have these communities that are in the drainage systems. I mean, I could take you and show you these underground freaking worlds that are out there, and by no means are they anything good, but they're people just like myself and just like yourself who are good people. They just are in a world of addiction now, and it's hard to get out of that when you got this stronghold. And for me, I got lucky that I got sent to jail, and through that process of being incarcerated, I got the opportunity to go to a treatment center, which I accepted, and I went. And being a veteran, I was able to transfer from the treatment center after about 60, 70 days to a transitional housing facility for veterans, and I am now, on the verge of, I'm looking for my apartment now, and I'm almost, reunited with my daughter, because my daughter's going to be living with me, and to hear her being excited and happy that she's going to have her daddy back. You know what I mean? It's for me, man, that's just like that she's a world to me. I got 3 daughters, but this one isn't married or anything, and my other 2 daughters, they got their own families, so they're good, and but nonetheless they're excited for me too. And but my baby girl, she's the one, man. That's my purpose. Besides the purpose that I have in here to help other addicts and homeless folks, get on that track and get on that first rung of that ladder to get out of that world and come over to this world where I'm at of sobriety and recovery and positivity, man. It's that's my purpose. And but first and foremost, my baby girl, man, that's the one that's she's driving me. You know what I mean? So I'm able now to have clarity of my mind, and to see where and what part of aspects in my life that I need to pay attention to, and not to ignore, and to you know, take those risk of a healthy risk, if you will, of doing things like doing these podcast videos, and you know, sharing my message of what has helped me and that sort of thing, and you know, engaging in my faith-based community, and engaging in my recovery community, and attending, you know, meetings of AA and NA whenever I can. And you know, I like going because I like listening to the stories, because they re-engage my thought process. And you know, occasionally I'll share a story or whatever, but for the most part I love listening, because I could hear the compassion, I could hear the pain, and it just grounds me back down when I'm feeling like I'm losing my way a little bit, you know, like, you know, because I get restless and I'll get irritated and that sort of thing. But hearing other people's stories, it's like, you know, that to me is it's a right-on thing, you know, it helps me in my journey. And I know that if I'm listening to somebody's story and it's helping me in my journey, I know that somebody's listening to my story and it's helping them in their journey. So, you know, the reciprocity of stories that revolve around the realm of the recovery community and the faith-based communities it's amazing. So, yeah, so I just, you know, wanted to do this video and kind of share a little bit of how I deal with keeping positive, and how to keep out of the world of addiction when it's something that you really like to do. And so that it's a hard thing to do, but I think maybe I'll do another video about it and get a little bit more in depth on how that works, because I just wanted to kind of touch base a little bit about that, and a little bit about this Myth of Normal book that Dr. Gomolate has out. And if anybody would, I encourage you to pick that book up at your local bookstore, or you know, at the library or whatever, and read it, and it'll have some, you know, good insight for you. But if anybody wants to know what it looks like, let me show you the book real quick. There you go. That's it right there. The book, The Myth of Normal. And yeah, so I am. Yeah, so I mean, I guess that's all I got for today. Until my next video, I would encourage you to, you know, read that book, and please, if you would, hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, give me a bell, you know, give me a comment, anything like that will help me keep spreading the message, and keep this positive wave going for anybody out there who's looking for a helping hand in getting out of that crazy world of addiction. Yeah, so if you would, please subscribe to my channel. Please hit the like button. I'd greatly appreciate it. All you got to do is, bam, tap the little button. It didn't cost you a thing, but just a little tap, and I'd greatly appreciate that. If you would, it'd help me launch off a few more projects that I got coming up in the works. I got this one thing that I'm working on, and I'm almost done with it, and I'm going to have a sidekick with me now, and I think you guys are going to enjoy it. It may not be an everyday thing, but he's going to be joining me periodically, and it's going to be a little comical with recovery and addiction involved, and everyday life problems and that sort of thing. But it's going to be a comical kind of little series that I'm going to do. So please hit that subscribe button, and the more people that I get to check it out, the better off the project will be, and the easier and the more people we can reach and help out. And I greatly appreciate you guys listening. So yeah, so if you would, please subscribe to my channel, hit the like button, and until the next time on When the Smoke Clears, I am the Recovery Plug.